Step inside an Amish home on a typical Wednesday in summer, and you'll discover routines so different from modern life they seem impossible. No alarms jolt the family awake, no screens glow in the evening. Every hour follows patterns unchanged for generations. Dawn rising. The day begins in near darkness at 4:30 a.m. when the father's eyes open naturally, his body responding to the faint light beginning to filter through plain curtains. No alarm clock interrupts sleep. No jarring buzzer forces consciousness against the body's natural rhythm. He simply wakes because it's time. Within minutes, he's dressed in clothes laid out the night before and moving quietly downstairs. The wooden stairs creak despite his careful steps, signaling to his wife that morning has arrived. She rises immediately, having slept in a long nightgown on a bed with no electric blanket or heated mattress, despite the cool pre-dawn air. By 5 a.m., oil lamps glow throughout the house, casting warm yellow light that looks nothing like harsh LED bulbs. The mother starts the wood stove, adding kindling to coals that burned low overnight. Within minutes, warmth begins spreading from the kitchen as she fills a large pot with water for coffee. Children wake naturally by 5:30 a.m., their bodies adjusted to schedules that never vary. No snooze buttons exist. No negotiating for 5 more minutes. They simply rise, dress, and appear downstairs ready for their day. Morning chores. Before breakfast, before conversation, before any semblance of normal morning activity, the family divides to accomplish essential tasks that sustain their household independence. The father and 2 teenage sons head to the barn where 8 cows await milking. The process takes 45 minutes of manual labor, their hands working rhythmically as milk streams into steel buckets. The barn fills with sounds of animals stirring, milk hitting metal, and occasional low conversation about the day's work plans. In the chicken coop, 2 daughters collect eggs from nesting boxes, counting carefully and noting which hens laid and which didn't. The count matters because it indicates flock health and predicts future production. They feed the chickens, observing behavior that reveals problems before they become crises. The mother begins breakfast preparation in the kitchen, where enormous cast iron skillets heat on the wood stove. She cracks dozens of eggs, slices thick bread from yesterday's baking, and stirs oatmeal that's been soaking since last night. Everything requires physical effort and constant attention. Nothing happens automatically. Younger children set the large wooden table, placing simple plates and utensils precisely where they belong. Even 6-year-olds know their roles and execute them without direction or supervision. Breakfast together. By 7 a.m. sharp, the entire family gathers at the table that dominates the kitchen. 8 children, ranging from age 4 to 17, find their customary seats without being told. The father sits at the head. The mother positions herself nearest the stove for efficient serving. No one touches food before prayer. The father bows his head, and the family follows in complete silence that lasts 30 seconds. No word spoken, no amen marks the ending. He simply raises his head and begins eating, signaling that others may do the same. The meal includes scrambled eggs from this morning's collection, thick slices of homemade bread toasted on the stovetop, oatmeal sweetened with honey, and fresh milk warm from the morning's milking. Every item came from their land or was made in their kitchen. Nothing processed, nothing packaged, nothing purchased except flour, sugar, and salt. Children eat without complaint despite the repetitive menu. The conversation stays limited and respectful, with the father discussing the day's work priorities. 2 sons will help with hay cutting. 3 daughters will work on the large family garden that feeds them year-round. Everyone has assignments. No one suggests alternative activities or expresses preferences about their tasks. Cleanup happens immediately after the father finishes eating. Every child knows their role: clearing, washing, drying, putting away. The process takes 10 minutes of coordinated effort. School preparation. By 7:45 a.m., 6 school-aged children prepare for the mile-and-a-half walk to the one-room schoolhouse that serves all Amish students in their district. The mother packs simple lunch pails with sandwiches made from leftover meat and bread, apples from their storage, and homemade cookies baked earlier in the week. The children wear identical styles of plain clothing that vary only by size. Girls in solid-colored dresses with aprons and prayer caps. Boys in dark pants, suspenders, and button shirts. No backpacks loaded with expensive supplies. Just small lunch containers and slate boards that serve multiple grade levels. They leave together in a group, with the oldest boy taking responsibility for his younger siblings' safety. The walk takes 30 minutes at their unhurried pace, arriving at school by 8:30 a.m. when the teacher rings the bell. No parent drives them, no bus arrives, weather doesn't prevent attendance. Snow, rain, or summer heat might slow them slightly, but missing school because of discomfort or inconvenience doesn't occur to anyone. The expectation remains absolute. School happens, and children walk there regardless of conditions. The mother watches them disappear down the dirt road before returning to her morning's work. Morning work. With children at school, the true day's labor begins for parents who will work without pause until the midday meal brings brief respite. The father and his 2 oldest sons head to the hayfields, where cutting, raking, and baling continue through the morning. The work is hot, dusty, and physically exhausting. No air-conditioned tractor cab provides relief. They work behind horses that pull equipment through fields, their bodies exposed to sun and heat that would send modern workers seeking shade after an hour. The mother begins laundry using a wringer washer powered by a small diesel engine. She fills the machine with water heated on the stove, adds homemade soap, and feeds clothes through the wringer multiple times. Each load takes 30 minutes of constant attention. She'll wash 12 loads today, all hung on outdoor lines to dry in the sun and wind. Between laundry loads, she starts bread dough that will rise while she completes other tasks. 6 loaves will bake today, providing bread for the next 3 days. She also tends the garden, pulling weeds from rows of vegetables that stretch 50 feet long. Tomatoes need staking. Beans require picking. Potatoes need hilling. The physical labor never stops. No coffee break, no sitting down to check messages, no scrolling through social media, just continuous, productive work that creates tangible results. Midday meal. At noon, children return from school for the day's largest meal. This dinner timing seems backward to modern families accustomed to light lunches, but it makes sense when afternoon field work requires sustained energy. The mother has prepared a substantial meal during her morning labors. Today, fried chicken from their flock, mashed potatoes from the root cellar, green beans canned last summer, fresh bread, and apple pie. Everything came from their property or their preservation efforts. The cost in money is almost nothing. The cost in labor is substantial. The father leads another silent prayer before the family eats together. Conversation flows more freely than at breakfast, with children sharing school happenings and adults discussing morning work progress. The teenage sons eat enormous quantities, their growing bodies and physical labor creating appetites that astonish outsiders. After eating, the father rests briefly in a rocking chair on the porch. Not sleeping, just sitting still for 20 minutes before afternoon labor resumes. The mother and daughters clean the kitchen efficiently, their practiced coordination requiring no verbal direction. By 1 p.m., children walk back to school for afternoon lessons. The parents return to their respective work. The afternoon stretches ahead with hours of labor remaining before evening brings relief. The heat intensifies, but the work continues. Modern concepts like work-life balance don't translate to Amish existence where work and life integrate completely. Afternoon labor. The afternoon sun beats down as the father and sons continue field work that must be completed before rain arrives later in the week. The hay needs cutting, drying, and baling in perfect sequence, or the winter feed supply suffers. No shortcuts exist. No calling it quits early because they're tired. The work demands completion regardless of physical exhaustion. The mother completes her laundry marathon, hanging the final load around 3 p.m. Her arms ache from wringing hundreds of pounds of wet fabric. Her back hurts from bending to the basket repeatedly. But the clotheslines full of clean laundry flapping in the breeze provide visible evidence of accomplishment that office work can never replicate. She moves to afternoon tasks, mending clothes that will serve another season with careful repairs, preparing simple supper that requires less effort than the midday meal, visiting an elderly widow 2 farms over who needs help with canning. The afternoon visiting represents not leisure, but community obligation that sustains the social network all families depend upon during crisis. A neighbor woman stops by unannounced, which is normal and acceptable. They drink coffee and visit for 30 minutes while hands stay busy with mending and snapping green beans for canning. The conversation covers family news, upcoming wedding plans, and concerns about a family facing medical expenses. No gossip, just practical information exchange that keeps the community informed and coordinated. Children return. At 3 p.m., school dismisses and children begin the walk home, arriving by 3:30 p.m., hot, tired, and ready for cold water from the well. But rest doesn't follow. Chores await immediately. The boys change into work clothes and head to the fields where their father needs help loading hay wagons. The work is heavy, dirty, and demanding for bodies still growing. They don't complain. This is simply what happens every afternoon during hay season. The girls help their mother with supper preparation and evening chores. Eggs need collecting again, the garden needs watering if rain hasn't fallen, clothes need bringing in from the line, folding, and putting away. Each daughter has specific responsibilities that she executes without reminders. Younger children fetch wood for the stove, pump water for household use, and complete small tasks appropriate to their ages. Even the 4-year-old carries kindling from the woodshed. Homework happens at the kitchen table amid the activity. Reading, arithmetic, and spelling practice occur while the mother works nearby, occasionally helping with difficult problems. The homework load remains light by modern standards, completed in 30 minutes of focused effort without electronic distractions. Evening meal. By 5 p.m., the family gathers again for supper, a simpler meal than midday dinner. Tonight, bean soup with ham, cornbread, sliced tomatoes from the garden, and leftover pie. The soup simmered all afternoon, requiring no last-minute preparation beyond setting the table and slicing bread. The father leads prayer again, the third silent blessing of the day. Everyone eats with healthy appetites, sharpened by physical labor and fresh air. Even the pickiest modern child would eat without complaint after a day of Amish work. The evening meal conversation focuses on tomorrow's plans. Church service is coming Sunday, which means Saturday will involve house cleaning that makes the home presentable for hosting the congregation. The mother mentally plans the extra baking required. The father considers which sons will help with barn cleaning. Cleanup happens quickly and efficiently as always. By 6 p.m., dishes are washed, dried, and put away. The kitchen returns to spotless order that modern households rarely achieve. The family moves to the living room where the evening's leisure hours await, though leisure in an Amish home differs dramatically from modern entertainment.